Tour.
The first half of the tour went. Oh, let's do this a little closer. The first half of the tour went very well. It was quite successful, and we covered a lot of territory in North America as well as Europe. We spent the month of October in Europe. There was a demand for us to come and to continue the tour. Normally, we would have capped it off with that, close to 70 shows on the first half, but it seemed like we were enjoying the tour a lot, and it was a good time to continue it. We also filmed for a video DVD release 2 shows in Rotterdam during the European tour, and we've been working on that over this course of time since the last tour, mixing the live CD version as well as the DVD version in 5.1 and editing the DVD itself. So with all these projects going, it seemed to make sense to take advantage of the opportunity to come out and play places like Puerto Rico and some cities in America that we didn't cover on the last tour and that we haven't played in a while, as well as some dates in Canada, which we haven't done in a while. So, and we're quite enjoying being on the road and playing, so, you know, why not? From the first half? Yeah, a few. We've dropped a couple songs, brought some other songs in, plus we added a couple more songs to the show.
Well, I think that the whole music industry is still adapting to the new world. Every day you get a different surprise. Obviously, the internet revolution has changed the music industry beyond all recognition. I think record companies are scrambling to try to make sense of it all. They're used to making these gigantic profits out of record sales, and now downloading has become the most popular form of buying music. So for a band like us, because we love playing live, it's actually had a very good effect on us, because live music can't be downloaded, and that experience of coming to a concert is still very special to people, and that's made bands like ourselves that take a lot of time and energy and pride in our live show. It's made those things more special. So our audiences have actually increased while the record industry has been struggling. As far as our music goes, our music is our music. We'll keep writing it in the same way and producing it in the same way, and hopefully the internet revolution will not be such a bad thing for us. I don't know. It's hard to say, really. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. Everybody has a different idea of what's timeless music. We seem to be in a very heavily pop period of music right now, but there's always going to be pop music, and that'll always have its quick flash-in-the-pan idols. It'll be interesting to see what young bands emerge as being bands that are due to stay around. I mean, if you look at Foo Fighters, I think they're a good example of a classic rock band, and I think they'll be around for a long, long time. I can't really say who else will be carrying the torch.
I don't think so. I don't know. The condition is so different now. There's so many obstacles and difficulties in having that kind of longevity. There isn't the kind of support from a record company, for a record, because it's not selling, because records don't sell anymore unless you're a pop artist who comes and goes so quickly. So it's very difficult for young musicians to feel like they have a future, I think, like a big future, international. It's very, very hard to say. I can't think of a single band right now that has the potential to be one of those bands that lasts for 10, 20 years.
It's hard, those are things that are not predictable.
Yeah.
Nobody could see the Beatles coming. Nobody, you can't see these things coming. Sometime there'll just be a band that suddenly is very interesting from so many points of view, and one way or another they will cut through.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think the day of the big band is over. I just think it's hard to see it coming. Yeah, well, we got a call from their management people. Taylor and Dave and the guys were all Rush fans when they were younger, and Taylor in particular is a very big fan, and he wanted to they were playing Toronto, and they knew we lived in Toronto, and they thought it would be fun if we were kind of a surprise addition to their show. And we happened to be home getting ready for this tour, so it was a rare occasion where we got an invitation that we could actually say yes to. And we knew Taylor and the guys because we share the same producer. Nick Raskolin is a good friend of those guys, and they do a lot of work together. So they just asked us, and we said sure, and so we went out and played one of our songs with Taylor and the keyboard player, and it was great fun. It was really quite a nice night. And we got to see their show, which was a bonus.
How did that come about?
Yeah, that's not quite accurate. Geddy and I started writing in March, I guess, of 2006 for Snakes and Arrows. And David Gilmour was on his On an Island tour, which was in, I want to say September, maybe, August or September. So we'd already been writing that way, acoustically. And I went to see him play in Toronto. I'd never met him before, but I've always admired him since I was very young. Pink Floyd were a fantastic band, and he's such a great, unique guitarist. And I went down and met with him, and we talked about how writing on an acoustic, which is what he does too, for all the stuff that he does, is so immediate and it's so rich sounding, and you know right away if the melodies work when you write on an acoustic. And we just discussed the strengths of writing that way.
So beautiful.
Mhm.
Last night we were in Old San Juan. Oh my God, so pretty. I'm really amazed at how well the architecture is maintained in such perfect condition. It's a beautiful place. Well, I still believe that we can get better, and I still believe that there's a great song that we haven't written yet. So that keeps me going. I think Alex feels the same way.
Mhm.
We always feel like that there's a great song out there waiting for us to write, and that is the challenge of being a writer, I think. And I think writing and recording is always interesting. It's never something you take for granted. You know, touring is a different thing. It's a physical job, and it's exciting, and you get to exchange emotions with the audience, which is wonderful. But to write music is always a creative challenge, and I think it's the main reason that we keep going. And so I think that we always look forward to that.
I agree with Geddy. I think he can get better.
That's hard to do.
It is tough.
But certainly 2112 would have to be the defining piece of music from the 70s for us. And I guess Tom Sawyer from the early 80s. And then, I don't know, maybe something like
Big Money
Big
from
Money, maybe from the late 80s or middle 80s. And I can't remember our songs after that. No,
Right.
it's hard to say after that point. Certainly, I think Snakes and Arrows is a work that defines us in the new millennium, 100%. And out of all those songs, I would pick Far Cry as the song that is best represents us today. I think we had a few records in between that I've forgotten.
Go to Florida. And we're in Florida for 3 shows, and then we start moving west through New Orleans, Texas, into California, Arizona, and then slowly start moving north as the weather gets warmer, if it ever gets
I
warmer.
don't think that's for us to say. That's for someone else to decide.
Yeah.
Well, they're terrific honors. Everyone is complimented by that kind of award. You can't pretend it doesn't mean something to you. But it's also something that you can't spend much time thinking about, because all those things happen outside of you, and you have no control over it. So you just hope that you do good work and people recognize it, and that's all you can do.